Hi, everybody. I am JJ, Creative Director here at She's in Business. We are a software support system located in St. Louis, Missouri. Today, I have with me Michelle. She's the owner of Happy Heart Parenting. She is a awesome resource for parents who are kind of in this holding pattern of waiting for an autism diagnosis. And there can be a big stretch of time in between when someone is maybe starting to see signs of something being different about their kiddo to when you actually can get a diagnosis. So we are really excited to deep dive into this conversation with Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, JJ. Thank you
Thanks
for
for
having
joining
me.
us today. And tell me, where are you located?
I am in Vancouver in Canada.
Awesome. Are you having some beautiful weather up there? Because it is like 97 degrees here.
We are having some nice sunshine. Our summer just started this week. We've had the worst spring of all time, and I think on Saturday it started. So
Okay, now what does the worst spring of all time look like to a Canadian?
it's rained since March.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's no fun. All the
No,
sunshine here, and it's keeping us very hot.
yeah,
So thank you for
no.
joining us today. Can you tell me a little bit about your company?
Yes, so I have been doing what I'm doing for 21 years. I started off in university. I've always loved working with kids, and I started working with kids with autism at that time, and loved it. And I've worked in England. When I was based there, I traveled to Romania and Italy to also work with families because there wasn't a lot of services in Europe. And then moved back to Vancouver 11 years ago now, I think. And I work in BC and the Yukon. And, you know, the world changed with COVID. And during COVID, I wasn't able to do what I normally do, which is work with kids directly, with families directly. And families were struggling to get services. They couldn't have people in their home. They weren't able to, companies were closing or just delayed services. In Vancouver, the assessment process went from an already long wait of about 18 months to 3 years, which is
Wow.
horrifying, when
Mhm.
you're waiting. And so I decided to take my business a bit more on the online side. Um, to work with parents and help them in this time. So I created a program, which I'll share a little bit more about, and also a lot of free resources for families. So I had a summit last summer. There's going to be another one coming up actually this summer too. Um, to just bring tools and bring resources to parents in this time of need and have some more resources available.
Yeah, yeah, I know firsthand about this. I have a almost 8-year-old that's on the spectrum, and our system, we're in America, so it was a little bit different. It was
Mhm.
pre-COVID, though I did experience a lot of hardships during COVID with him. He was home his entire kindergarten year. So personally, he had services at his special, like inclusive pre-K for 3 years. And then when COVID shut everything down, if you were still part of the school system, you actually couldn't go in person to get those in person services anymore. But I found out almost before the year ended, his kindergarten year, that if I would have pulled him out and done homeschooling or just completely pulled him out of the system, he actually would have been able to go in person to get those services. So he had to get, he's got, IEPs all over the place. He had to get all those services through Zoom, which
Mhm.
if you have a kid with any sort of diagnosis that is inhibiting them, especially at that early age, it was it was a struggle to say the least to do OT, PT, any sort of those behavioral therapies that he gets. I basically became the interim person, and that's with a plethora of resources. So I can't imagine at those pivotal early ages when they talk about how important it is to start those services right away. Waiting
Mhm.
18 months to 3 years feels
Mhm.
like a lifetime of wasted opportunity. So, do you feel like when that gap got bigger, were you just instantly like heartbroken for these parents that were just sitting there waiting for some sort of answer?
Yes, absolutely. And I was seeing firsthand how difficult it was to do those sessions online too. And, as a service provider, we wanted to do whatever we could, but it's very difficult to engage kids to the same level online. Any child, especially a child who might have more difficulty, staying attentive with you,
Mhm.
or just to get that engagement, or to be able to be dynamic enough to change streams, to do something else. You can't quite do that when you're stuck in a chair on the other end of the screen. So I was definitely feeling that, and knowing that we were all under immense pressure too, as parents, and that was another thing for parents. I was really feeling that. It was another responsibility for parents that they also had to then take on. It felt like if they wanted their children to continue to thrive during this, they also had to become the therapist. And, parents are already the schedulers, right? But they were also providing the services. And so I was just trying to find a way that I could help parents without adding more pressure. So one of the first things, the major thing I did was the summit, and that was bringing experts. 24 different experts who were bringing quick strategies and tools that parents could use right away. Not with very much the intention of not adding more to parents' plates. Um, and a different view.
That your kind of ideal clientele has under 5-year-olds, like before they go to school, or are you kind of hitting the market of anybody struggling to wait for a diagnosis, or do you have like a key area of who you're really trying to target with your program?
Age isn't relevant. Well, I don't want to say isn't relevant, but I want to help anyone who is feeling lost in that limbo space and really wanting to do something now, but they don't know where to go. That is definitely who the program is for. Those people who are waiting, they're not sure what they can do. They know they want to help their child. They don't know the strategies. They're not sure how to decipher the behaviors, and they want ideas how they can implement things into their daily life.
Yeah, that it's so important because I my specialty is photography. I I was not a teacher. I never had a desire to be a teacher. I am a big proponent of let's please pay nurses and teachers more money because I don't want to do it. So to be
Right.
put in that
Yeah.
role and have two other kids who were also going
Mhm.
through, I had two teenagers, so they were going through their own, struggles, and then to have this special attention provided for my little guy who is on the spectrum was really, really challenging. So tell me more about your program that is helpful for people and parents, busy working parents who have so many things on their plate, who literally come at this from zero, like I was when, my kiddo starts showing kind of some little things that were red flags for our pediatrician. I had no knowledge of, what to look for, what signs to see, and then from that point to diagnosis, what was happening in between. So I just kind of blindly jumped into Facebook groups and started Googling, which is a rabbit hole of all over the place diagnoses, which are very stressful, as every
Mhm.
parent who has a child with special needs can agree with. But kind of what do you recommend on your pathway that you offer as people doing it from the very beginning first step?
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned about Google, because I think when you go down there, there's so much information, and if you're coming at it, as you say, from zero, newly wondering about these things, you get a overwhelming amount of information, and there's a lot of conflicting information. So my big value in my business is to help parents and make things simpler, not make things more complicated. So in my program, I really strived. We start off with understanding autism, understanding your child's needs. I break it down into real language and what each factor or what each area means in your child's life, what it might look like for different children, how that might be a challenge, how that might be a strength for your child. So really helping parents understand. So I think those parents coming at it from zero, that will be really beneficial as and that's our starting point of the program. And then each training module, we have 6 training modules, goes into different areas to help you understand your child. And that's my first the core of my program is understanding first, and then we learn strategies and we learn how to implement them in your daily life, because I'm not here to train parents to have sessions with their children where they're turning into the therapist. I'm here to help parents to implement these strategies in daily life in a variety of ways.
Mhm. Well, yeah, and that's really important because we are not trained. and
Right?
and there's specialists that take extra training in those specific areas. And that is really important to know that about your program. You're not in there to create these parents into this new role of you're more so like here's how to be an advocate, here's how to educate, and here's what to do while you're waiting.
Yeah,
Um,
here's what to do while you're waiting, and also here's, while you're doing your daily routine, here are
mhm,
things that you can slip in that would help you work on that thing you wanted to work on with your child. And the great thing is too in the program is there's training modules you can access anytime. They're recorded, but then we have live calls too where I'm encouraging everyone to come with their questions so everyone gets their questions answered, because I know in that limbo space you also just have no one to ask these things to,
mhm.
no one to get support from. And so parents can bring their questions, and if they can't go to the live they can submit them beforehand and they'll be answered. So I want parents to feel that they will have their questions answered. If they think, oh, that's a great goal but I have no idea how I would do that, then I'm going to give you ideas how to do that so that you get strategies that you can be using in the meantime to help you both.
Oh, that's so great. Do you have a big like a private Facebook group that supports these parents that they can join and get questions answered, or is this through your general Facebook group or a page?
Yes, so I do have a general Facebook group, which is calling Empowering Parents of Autistic Children, and there
Okay.
will be a private group as well for those in the program. So,
Oh,
because
that's
I
great.
also want to create some community with the parents, and
Mm-hmm.
parents who are in the same place be able to support each other, they will be at similar points and be able to encourage each other and have that community there and that support.
Well, yeah, because that's really when you come into a diagnosis of anything, or just something happens to one of your kids that you've never experienced firsthand. The biggest thing you need to do is not feel alone. You are not alone. There's other people that have the exact same experiences or similar questions. And, I would honestly rather, this, my kiddo, Max, was the first person that I dove into those Facebook groups and
Mhm.
solely for the purpose of I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Mhm.
And to go
Mhm.
on at 3 in the morning or 8 p.m. and just say, is this normal? Does this look okay? Is this what it's supposed to be? And have somebody 25 people immediately say, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I remember when I felt that way. Oh my gosh, yes. That just made me be like, and it's
Yeah.
just one load a little lighter in the process of kind of getting through the beginning stages of, it's a little bit of like you go through a little bit of mourning and a little bit of grief of like what you expected it to be and what you thought you were going to have. And then you have to kind of process, okay, well, this can still be amazing. This isn't the end. This is just a different chapter of the same book. And it's not a completely different book. And
Yes.
having that community is so important. And for you, providing a service like this, having that community is a great way for you to probably like, kind of pivot if you need to. Oh, I see more people wanting this. And so as a business
Absolutely.
owner, do you feel
Yeah.
like getting that feedback is super important for guiding your business?
Yes, that's actually one of my most valued things because I want to provide really important support. I want to
Mhm.
provide the real time what people need. And I actually want to make sure that this program is the one that people come to when they're in that place of limbo. It's something they can access quickly. It's something where they can get those answers to get them started and not be feeling lost. And so, all along the way, I'm going to have ways that people can let me know what else they need. And
Mhm.
I'm, kind of create those things in the moment and add them and do extra trainings and everything. So, um, I and you touched on something about not being alone. I think that's really important too because um, when you're anything new, you're wondering, am I the only one? You're also wondering, I think all parents wonder if they're doing the right thing with their child, but then suddenly you're thrown into something new and you're wondering, if my child is autistic, what else do I have to think about? Am I doing the right thing? Am I is my daily routine the right thing? Is what I'm considering for school the right thing? And you just have more questions, I think, and having a community to ask those questions to, and even share the wins, because then you're among people who will get it, like those amazing wins, or sharing what your child is amazing at. I think it's really valuable to have that community of people that understand you and understand where you're coming from and understand, and that are like you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree because there's so many that I could literally talk about this for hours,
I
but
know,
there's
me too.
so many
Yeah.
things that, and literally I could start crying about it. But like when you tell somebody, when you have a special kiddo, when you say
Mhm,
like, oh my God, he was almost 5 when he was potty trained. And
mhm,
it felt so hard to compare not only to my older kids, but to other friends of his at that time. Like they were potty trained at 2. So all these parents are right next to you celebrating these wins, and you are just sitting there like, I'm happy for you, but it's
yeah,
really hard for me to relate in this moment because,
yeah,
it's just a different path that
yeah,
you're on with these kids that have these major delays. And then when they have these things, so much later, you almost don't want to call out your child for having like, oh my gosh, my kid finally learned, the alphabet. And
yeah.
their
But then
kid
when you
learned the
tell them
alphabet
about
3 years ago. So
autism,
you're almost like highlighting their
yeah,
major differences. But I do think in what I've learned in the, 6 years of having the knowledge that my kiddo had needs that were a little bit different than other kids was that comparing anybody, it was just a big lesson of a reflection
mhm,
for myself. Comparing your child to another child or even another child you already have is only going to create a little bit of tension. And then comparing yourself to other people, like we're just all always going to be in different spaces. We always come at things at different points. Some people figure stuff out at age 15, some people are 50. I mean, it's okay. Like we support entrepreneurs that haven't started their business until they're 65 and they were retiring and they were just like, finally, I have the time to do what I want to do. It's okay. Everybody's going to come at it from a different point. And, my kid just sometimes needs a little more. I need to explain a little more when he is introduced to a new situation. I maybe need to have the conversation, but like visibility matters. So I'm a big proponent of yes, this is him. He's here. He's a little, going to have some struggles with time management or sharing or communicating, but this is him. This is his diagnosis. If you want to talk more about it, here's what I know. Oh my gosh, you know somebody with that? I mean, the visibility of any person who is maybe not in the norm is super
mhm,
important. So I think that having those inclusive classrooms is so important. Having friend circles who are understanding that, my kid's not going to do those same things and maybe my kid's going to need 15 extra minutes, that's okay. But I'm backtracking for a second.
mhm.
Why why is that time frame in your area so long from, maybe symptoms or not symptoms, but like signs and red flags to diagnosis? What Canada has the most amazing things that I am incredibly
Yeah,
jealous of, but I will say my wait list for that was not that long. What in the
yeah.
world, like what can fix that?
That I don't know. I think I'm not, um, I don't do diagnosis. So my view, but it may not be correct, is I think that there's a shortage of professionals who are able to participate in that, and I know that there is specific government criteria for that's needed for the diagnosis to get funding, and so a certain number of professionals are needed. So I believe that is part of it. Is that just having enough professionals to meet the need of um, all the kids who are waiting, I think is basically the hard part. And because during COVID, one of our major centers was closed who participated in that. The clinic that I'm with, Able Developmental Clinic, wasn't closed, but one of the other places was. So that added to a backlog, and just parents waiting longer. I believe that that has kind of caught up now to pre-COVID levels, but I'm not 100% on that. But I believe it is. It is still too long, but it is better than it was during COVID.
Wow. Yeah. And that, I guess that really makes sense. It's just,
Mhm.
I felt like our struggle was long. And then when I read more about yours, I was like, whoa, because those are pivotal. So tell me about your program specifically, your offer that you currently have going on, your next summit that you have.
Yeah, so the program is called Navigating Autism Parenting. And I want to say thank you to my community for helping me come up with a great name that fit what the program was about, and that spoke to them. So the program is for parents who are on a wait list or have an appointment to see their doctor with some questions, parents who are waiting for that assessment for diagnosis, or they have a diagnosis and now they're waiting for services. So if they're in that limbo, if you're wondering about if you have questions about your child and you're wanting answers and help, then the program is a good fit. It's 12 weeks, and in the 12 weeks, we will have training modules in six different areas that you can access anytime in the future, too. And then bi weekly live calls, Q&A calls, where you can bring your questions to me about the material, or other questions as well, relating, and I will give you ideas how to implement, help you if you're stuck. And the great thing that I have seen about live Q&A calls like that is a huge value for families, is that you will be hearing other parents' questions too. So questions you might not have thought of or that will benefit you too, you'll be also hearing those, and everyone gets to learn from everyone else's experiences and questions and answers that they're getting in the program. I've also created resources that you'll get to supplement so that you can have those at hand, because I know that there's going to be different learners in the program. There's going to be some learners who learn best by listening, some learners who learn best by watching, and some who learn best by reading. So for parents, I'm going to have the videos will have I'll have audio and visual, and also we'll have written materials too. Um, and with this round of the program, I'm not certain if future, but there's also going to be two individual consults included. So when you come into the program this time, we actually close on Monday, and we're getting started next week. Then you will be able to have two one-to-one consults as well, throughout the 3 months of the program. So we can really individualize and tailor what you're working on. You could work on some other goals that are specific to your child that are not addressed in the program, or we can apply things in the program more specifically to your child and to you. So that is something that I'm really excited to offer, because I love working with parents really closely, and I want to help you make sure that you get the help that you need, and that it's something that you apply. JJ, I know, in the business world that sometimes we purchase courses that are not always used right away, right? And it might be different with parents. I don't know, but I definitely, that is not my plan for you. For anyone who's thinking about it, watching, it's going to be something that you use, that we use together, and that we make sure that you really get value out of, and are able to implement and get help.
Well, that consult is a huge value. I mean,
Mhm.
virtual consults one-on-one is just a really, really important value, especially for people who, like I talked about before, being in the beginning stages of things, like just having someone to be like, everything is going to be okay. That
Yeah,
wasn't maybe like my mom or my husband or just
yeah,
somebody who was a professional in the area, just kind of say, let's get
yeah,
started here. Like it's okay.
yeah.
You're gonna be okay. Everything's gonna, let's just get you through this big chunk of in between times because I know
Mhm.
that's the scariest is when you just don't know where you're going. Well, Michelle,
Yeah.
I am so thankful for you for giving us this time and just what an amazing program you have. Like I said, I wanted to talk to you about it specifically because I feel like I can just relate so much to parents waiting
Mhm.
and just not knowing. I cannot relate to that long of a time period, and my heart goes out to families who do have to wait that long. But I am excited that you have this offer to kind of fill them into those gaps and make them have a plan and a pathway instead of going down the Google rabbit hole of trying to like self diagnose and diagnose their own children. That is just, let's just not go there because my cold can turn into cancer in 2 clicks. It's just
Oh,
not
it's
a
very
safe path to go
understandable.
for parents. So
Yeah,
we are going to support you in every way we can. We're sharing the link right now for anybody who wants to go. Like you said, you're starting on Monday, this next
yeah.
Monday.
Program's open till Monday. We start next week, so
Wow.
it's
So
definitely a
now is
quick.
the time, people, to go on over, get signed up. I'm excited about this program, and I really appreciate all the time you've given to us, Michelle. Do you have any closing statements you'd like to leave us with?
I think just we've touched on it a little bit, but just for parents to know that they're not alone and there is help out there and that your children are amazing and um when you're feeling alone, knowing that you are doing an amazing job because it's hard.
Yeah.
Parenting is hard, and
Yeah. No
when you
matter
don't have
what.
all the answers, then you have a lot on, and to be kind to yourself,
Those are
would be
great
that.
words. Those are great words. Parenting is hard no matter what, with any
Yeah,
sort of extra, sprinkle on top of that icing. It doesn't matter. It's tough.
yeah.
It's tough at all points. And I appreciate you talking about it and being so open. And, I can't wait to go into your system a little more and hear more about it. So thank you, Michelle. And we
Thank
will
you
talk to you
so much.
soon.
Okay, bye. Take
Have
care.
a good day.
You too.